deep in the weeds about expectations and all of that stuff. We got Neb, Winders, Nathan, we were talking before, to each their own, Shortify and Civ on the Oklahoma University side of things. If we flip things over to the OC squad, Shadow, Vo, Dev, Wheaties, and Booga are going to round things out for this roster. And to be fair, I was talking about before and after, Wheaties, I think the only player actually playing today that it was on the last semester squad I was talking about at the open of this show, by the way.
Interesting. So not a very large returning roster for a team, which usually plays rosters, but now you punch your ticket into playoffs here in the semifinals. It obviously hasn't been that bad for them. Speaking of bad, though, it really relies on the maps you're heading to. Ascent and Split were banned first. Bind and Breeze were followed up, but not before Lotus and Haven got picked up. Lotus has become so much more popular recently, Vincent. Haven has always been there. And then Sunset, should it be required for our decider map?
Baby.
Sunset has been so common. It is ridiculous. Whether it's in CVAL, Red Bull Campus Clutch, the NECC coming into playoffs and even into playoffs, Sunset has been so than black.
Neither of them, actually, I think.
Is there another one that we're missing?
I think Tamu Maroon is the...
Oh, yes, that would make sense. That would make sense. You gotta, but all in all, there's not very many similarities.
It's the B team, to be fair. Just
Who's the B team?
Tamu White is. I could be just spreading disinformation. I'm like 90% certain, though.
Me laughing when I spread disinformation on the internet.
Yeah, there is. You're trying to draw some of those cross lines. Let me draw another one for you as we jump into the agent select here. In the regular season, 2-0 versus Washington for University of Oklahoma. On the other side of things, in the quarterfinal, it was a 2-1 victory for OC against that same squad. Took them 3 maps, and they were close. 13-7, 13-11, and 13-9 were the scoreline. So all relatively close affairs. But both playing against the same team, one a 2-0, the other a 2-1. If we were to draw those cross lines that we were looking to. Begs the question, right? Who is the favorite coming into this one? And I think you got to give credit where it's due. I mean, that 5-0 record speaks for itself. We talked about the forfeits. University of Oklahoma, they have to show up and show out here, and I think they have that opportunity.
Yeah, they'll have to get off on a good level, and Oklahoma do so. They get first blood. It's Winders to take down Wheaties. Also point out, we maybe could have done the other match. It's Texas A&M White versus Texas A&M Black. That would have been a pretty interesting show match on the other side in round 2. Would have been very entertaining. A little in-house rival. They're probably hosting it on their own channel, but it would still be a pretty cool one to have here for the broadcast. Either way, we've still got a great showcase here. Both of them being rivalries, Texas A&M versus Texas A&M, and then interstate rivalry here for Oklahoma. They got first blood, Oklahoma that is, and since then it's been pretty silent as they don't necessarily want to re-engage or aggress into OC. They'll let them go to a site first and play for a retake with that man advantage.
Well, and OC going to do exactly that. Setting up the utility, getting everything set and well for the plant to go down. So the spike pumped into the ground. Surefly going to gather some info. That's fantastic with Benji grabbing a free opening pick there. Now it's a 5-on-3. OC still incredibly limited, and they don't even have that great a crossfire setup currently, though Shadow Core has gotten into a good spot.
Really close attempt there with the head-under, and a second one does go their way. Dev gets a 2-for with the class before falling to the hands of Nathan, who once again gets a 2-for of their own. It really is a special for the basic pistol. Civ kind of breaks the mold, so to say, using a ghost instead, but it's still a victory for Oklahoma. First blood goes their way. Final blood does the exact same thing, and they pretty much sat pretty, I would say, the entirety of that round. They knew what they had to do. They knew they had to go for a retake afterwards. Don't commit too early, and they played very well, which is something you need to set the tone and standard for at the very beginning of a series.
Yeah, and also making the decision, once you get that opening pick, you called it perfectly, right? As soon as they get that, they're just playing a little bit more passive. No need to over-aggress, no need to get too far forward, and love the fact that Benji's able to pick up an additional frag as they enter towards the side or right as the post plant gets set up. OC knowing they needed to take that space, but failing at the first opposition.
The prowl up, though, for OC Esports. They'll move over towards Mound. Look at the ult pip there, and they also, I would say, arguably won the battle for it the same in the first round. Even if you're not going to win the war that is that round, you can win those micro battles, those little micro points, and the ult orbs are a great way to start to solidify that point forward. They're pretty much static. No one defaulting over towards the A side. Instead, it's pretty much just a central and Mound position for them. And Oklahoma, with 2 players over towards tree, if they're not fast enough on this rotate or solid enough on this hold here towards C main, they may actually have to fight off in a retake where they're at a major disadvantage if OC Esports can get into an objective uncontested. And I don't think they like C anymore here, Vincent. This looks like a B push, and they're starting to stack at the util, and they got the sheriffs at the ready till the toxic screen goes up and divides this split in 2.
Oh, that's a fantastic blind. Absolutely dominating that player coming in from the A link. It's some paint shells coming out. The plant not committed just yet. Benji collecting a third. That's Winders to pick up one more frag. That headhunter not going to do the damage that it did in the previous round with a missed shot. 4 frags for the KJ. Very getting up there, getting close to a lockdown early. Does feel good. That'll be useful in the retakes, particularly at the B site, just like we saw.
I don't know if you saw it, Vincent, but first game of our matchup earlier today, KO, one of the KOs, because it's always a KO in a sense, got an ace in the very first round and then proceeded to drop a nothing burger the next 3 in a row. But they did buy a ghost for their KJ in round 2, and they got a 4K with it. So you could argue they had 9 kill participations in 2 rounds, which is really impressive.
That argument.
That was it was very impressive, and I was really hoping to see a little bit of the same level of pizzazz right off the rip in this series. In Oklahoma, well, they haven't done exactly the same, but they have not disappointed. Only 1 loss in a second round is quite big when you want to maintain those better weapons going into a worse weapon scenario for round 3.
Look at how committed OCR on this gun round. Yep, straight towards the A site. They know what they want, and they're sticking to it. I like this information gathering play, though. Shortify has some backup whilst the A side is being taken, and Wheaties needs to collect at least 1. Doesn't get it with Winders. That frag. Here's the same situation as the pistol.
Tasmanian Tiger. Civ forced to fall back. Benji with great coverage. Needs to be more than that, though. Dev lines up 1, but the second does it back in return as a Vandal will be traded. They'll sit on site. 2v4. This is Oklahoma's to lose, and they may do so here if Civ can't collect themselves. Huge missed shots from Shadow Core, losing the teammate of O. It's a 1v3, stacked over by Door. You can see where the tracers are coming from. You just need to push it, and that will happen. 3-0 start for Oklahoma. Dominating. Despite the disparaging weapons across the board, they just waited and played a battle of attrition against OC Esports here, Vincent.
And I also want to point out as well that the cool thing about what Oklahoma did holding back for that retake, right? First of all, double swinging, know that there's just 1 player over there towards the B site, taking that fight 2v1, exactly what you need to do. And then as soon as OC are pushing forward to gather that space that they know that they need if they're at a man disadvantage, well, it's just a little bait and switch. You hit 1 with the utility, you got another man coming up right behind, right into their crosshairs. Fantastic trading and spacing from Oklahoma. Fantastic work.
Next round, though, in OC Esports, we knew they dedicated to that A side. They had full commitment. You commented on it. Now they need to do the exact same thing, but with only sheriffs to their name, it seems an impossibility, and Oklahoma will make sure that is, in fact, the case. 3 almost off the board, 2 guaranteed, the third managing to fall back just barely. While Spike has not pivoted away from the initial angle over towards C main, they know it's there, and they know they don't really have the best of odds of pressuring towards Mound. So it'll be a fallback plan, and Oklahoma will just continue to hold this spot. Because even if they lose their 1 player on the A side, Vincent, they don't have to be too concerned with the push. They have 4 other players after the fact to deal with just 3.
Sky's out.
This is okay. Well, I was about to say OC on the struggle bus, no longer struggling quite as much. Some nice shots. That headhunter getting activated. Unfortunately, the Vandal does the same, but has more bullets, and it's automatic. It's pretty nice, I've been told, to remain for OC, and this half-by sheriff type of round, it's not like they've really invested a ton, so any further damage would be phenomenal. But Benji has been such a consistent factor, I feel, for Oklahoma. Eyes on him for the continuation of this map and this series, because what an electrifying start.
Players have to be consistent, and Oklahoma right now has 2 very consistent players. Civ has been a backline player for the side of Oklahoma, has been very good for the team. You have to worry about Benji if you're on the side of OC Esports. You never know where they are. While you will get a plant down, which is credits, get a little bit extra in the back pockets, you want to get 1 more kill after the fact, and you almost had a chance to do so, but there's Civ, like I mentioned, sitting center of the side for the team, knows exactly what they need to do, has been right alongside Benji, a tandem duo on this defense, and that's one of the reasons why we're seeing Oklahoma do a very dominating performance so far, 4-0. And OC Esports hasn't really had a dog in this fight, bar the Tasmanian Tiger that hasn't found much information for them. But past that, there's no bite behind that bark. And they're going to hope that this rifle buy in round 5 will do a little bit better than theirs in round 3.
Well, I got good news and I got bad news there for OC. The good news is, hey, spike plant, that's going to feel good. Bad news is, didn't really get enough damage done to really hurt the econ too much there for Oklahoma either. Those couple of kills that we saw in the mid-round, fantastic, but not going to be enough. A little bit of an early fight. Quick rendezvous. We'll put Shadow Core back in this early control, outroot. It's been a consistent factor for Oklahoma, and this is why.
There goes the Tasmanian Tiger prowling for information, and as soon as Oklahoma pops theirs, OC Esports do the exact same thing. A quick rush into the B side, engaging as fast as possible. Booga trying to get in. Fortunately, this isn't Fortnite. You can't build your way out of it. You have to be very careful for the giant boomstick that is the showstopper of Winders. 3 kills and 1 single piece of utility. And Oklahoma may have just with a single piece of util punched their ticket in for a 5-0 start. But Vo was still alive. And one player can pull off magic, but there are 3 locking down that angle, and he can isolate 1, but the second does the same exact thing in their stead. 5-0.
Yeah, nice attempt 5-0, just to try and isolate further gunfights, though not going to work. And you said 1 bit of utility. Granted, great work from Winders, not taking anything away, but Vinci had that very early lockdown procced and ready, and I mentioned its effectiveness and efficiency towards the B site. I think without that showstopper, it would have been a bit more difficult, but I will say OC not walking into a phenomenal scenario regardless of the showstopper situation. Winders deciding, hey, don't worry, I got it. As we see that root control coming back once again by Oklahoma. Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Infernosis, that's what I always say.
What if it is broke? How do you fix it here, Vince?
Well, then you fix it. Well, listen, that's complicated. Maybe showstopper of your own.
Well, maybe it'll find something it does. Luke was able to take down Nathan, but taking a lot of damage in the process. That's why you bring a Sky. The regrowth can put you up to a little bit more of substantial position. The issue is your teammates don't have the same kind of position to work from. Winders in a bad spot, gets there 1, taken in return by the Tour de Force. And Oklahoma, who had acquiesced way too many bloods in this round, are now in a 2 versus 4 position in a round where they had the gun advantage. They had the advantage utility. They knew what they were doing, and they've got to recover from the dire strait they put themselves into, and Benji punches the ticket to do so. But Shadow Core with the Headhunter and Booga with the Vandal close all odds of Oklahoma taking a flawless first half, and it will be denied that OC gets there first.
And sometimes it's not about, getting fancy or, making the, I'm going to say, correct play when it comes to the tactics. Sometimes you need to keep it simple, and that's what OC were able to do. Hey, showstopper right into the site. Nothing more basic than that. Just to get that opening pick, and you add onto that the Tour de Force, plus the aim duels 1. Easy work for OC out towards the C side of things. Back towards Mound, and this time, notice the A site for Oklahoma. They are uninterested. Instead, they're going to add some more over towards C and maybe take a fight out Mound.
An open door to create space for a paint shell towards Mound, like you mentioned. When you know that this is a huge spot for teams to work in from, you want to try to deny that. And what a hold from Wheaties. Takes down Winders in the back line. Civ, though, not enough of the shots could be collected center mass to take them down. And it is still a 1-man advantage for OC Esports, who had so much pressure towards C. Leaving Spike behind, though, means they have the freedom to choose where they want to head towards. And Shadow Core has completely vacated that A site. They have control. They're in heaven. But Civ, maybe just spotted by the shoulder, had their opportunity to put things back in favor for Oklahoma and squanders it. Now a 4v2 on a site where they'll be forced to retake, and Shadow Core may just bury another here.
1 enemy remaining.
Isn't that KJ early makes all the utilities set up at the A site entirely irrelevant, and yeah, tough situation for sure to find. Death coming soon, and well, quick enough that will do just that. That's the second round, 2 in a row. Starting to put together some momentum, it would seem. One last full buy that Oklahoma have at their disposal, though, before they're really shut down, before they're forced onto an eco, more than likely. That's why this round's so important, Infernosis. The fight for the economic superiority. And there's 3 ultimates for OC to do just that. Don't have quite the explosiveness of a Tour de Force or a Showstopper, but you do have the lockdown for the post plant, or maybe just to get control of the B site, for example. The Seekers in the mid-round, phenomenal at finding that information. Here's a board position. So many towards C early.
I'm honestly impressed with the lack of ultimates that Oklahoma has had to their name in the final few rounds. Despite the success they've had to go 5-2, they've never really kept one up for any substantial period of time. The one I'm looking towards specifically is that Viper's Pit. They were 2 away from charging it up at the beginning of this round. They've managed to do so here, getting those 2 kills. OC Esports now at a 3 versus 3. And then Viper's Pit, while maybe not a point of contention in this round, will undoubtedly come out in the next 2, if not the next one in general. But that's where you bring out your chamber. Shadow Core's rotation of the A site, solo taking it the last 2 rounds, has punched the ticket for OC Esports to dominate, but you get the 1v1 you needed for the Tasmanian Tiger stun, putting this one in. A good shot for Oklahoma, down inside the smoke, round the bend, caught off guard. You gotta check for the giant tendrils, the little pyramids that show up now when a smoke is ready to dissipate. You have to be quick enough to see it, and unfortunately that was not the case, as it's just Nathan. In a 1v2, both players split up quite the distance, and even a turret there to make matters even worse. You just pray for a one-on-one, and you're not really giving it. And even when you were, you went to the other player first.
Yeah, I mean, a valiant effort, but like you said, unfortunately, sometimes you gotta investigate a little bit further, and that's what was required in that smoke. And I mean, listen, Oklahoma realizing, hey, we were...
Do so, Vincent, when they, like you said, stack up heavily towards that CMP side to keep OC Esports at bay on Mound. So they have to be a little bit smarter about their aggressions, about their microaggressions in these angles, and they have to be willing to make early commitments to counteract the potential of Shadow Core, who unfortunately, even if they do get the winning fight to push Shadow Core back, they have a get out of jail free card. They have the ability to rendezvous out of danger and get away from that very ever-present threat and fall back to the rest of the team to assist in another push elsewhere. It's a problem. Oklahoma need to find the ability to counteract it, but this round won't be it, as they're coming in with sheriffs and sheriffs only, and they have just prayed for a play down B, and it's not worked just yet.
I will say OC might be getting a little bit of a false sense of security with so much easy control towards the A site that they have been given these last 3 rounds. It's not been the norm, as I noted earlier, but Oklahoma giving it up once again with that B aggression. Nice trade by Benji. That's gun recoverable, I believe. Should be grabbed up, and it is going to be done. So 4-on-4, technically an even scenario, but the weaponry makes that far less likely for Oklahoma at this range especially.
If the sheriffs can connect, you could really give yourself an even better chance for this retake, but notice how far OC Esports are holding back. They know they have this gun advantage. They know they can just spray down the line and try to keep them away as best they can. And the utility will make matters even worse as the nano swarms just bury the spike in ever-present danger on top of the Viper's Pit. Popped by Oklahoma. This is their best shot possible, though, who I said was falling back so far towards Root, has lost all teammates. It's a spray down from VAL for 2, but it's still too short. 2 players left for Oklahoma. Defused with 81 seconds left. And it's a round that is snuck through by Oklahoma, and it stops the disparaging round starting to calculate up for OC Esports.
I mean, that's that Viper Pit you were just talking about, and its effectiveness, or what it might be able to accomplish. Well, we saw right there, Nathan, just so much coverage provided by it, easily able to isolate the duels a lot more effectively. And in addition to that, like you mentioned, Vo, just a little bit too far away. Had players there until there weren't. That's always the problem. Back to this fight out A. And I said that it might have been a bit of a false sense of security. No, Shadow Core knows exactly where he's located, secure in that knowledge, and gets the opening frag. The push continues, but Winders has no one to shoot at.
No one downfield. What can you do? Wheaties managing to scrape by 1, making space for an opportunity. There's a second chance coming out for the side of Oklahoma, but that second win can't get you much further if Benji can only go 1 for 1. Winders has to use the showstopper. maybe just created the best chance possible, but it finding no impact stinks truly. And to make matters worse, they knew where you were. You were trapped. You were caged in like a wild animal. And it will just give the run back to OC Esports. But you're fine if you're Oklahoma here, Vincent. You've guaranteed an even half. You just like to go a little bit more past that.
Yeah, you're good when it comes to the score line, but there is a problem. Now there's only two rounds left, and your money's broken, in pieces, shattered. Gotta go for another save. This one more of a half by a little bit of extra money kind of percolating from that Sheriff win. So we'll get a Guardian or two, which does add some lethality to the situation. Oh my goodness! Shadowcore been going for that same swing the last 4 or 5 rounds and finally gets punished.
Falling back as quick as they can. You know you're in danger, and Benji, stunned for so long, you pray it ends just a moment sooner, when the only thing that ends is your lifeline. As Shortify almost walks into their own death and demise after the fact. It's a frag back from Winders, though. Uga off the board. You had the man advantage, you've regained it after that loss of Benji, and you just need to continue to capitulate further into the point. Paranoia out, Vo by their lonesome. No teammates left and no life left. As Winders goes over the top, Shortify diffuses, and Oklahoma won't just go even here, Vincent. They'll go above and beyond. Now 7 as we head into the last round of this half, hoping for an 8.
Can we just shout out Shortify for a moment on that retake? Phenomenal Trailblazer. Gets the tag and the stun onto the player close right there on the boxes. And then on top of that, Guiding Light comes in, and I think it catches 2 other players. That was like a 3-assist retake there for Shortify, providing support for Nathan to come in with the frags and Winders as well. Just, you know, gotta talk about your support players here and there, because they do enable those big heavy hitters. An 8th round, not an impossibility. The Tour de Force hoping to deny just that. Fully blinded off that angle. Booga already making their way in to Link. This is incredibly aggressive in this fight. Gonna go down.
It's as fast as you can get it to go. OC Esports looking for that unknown speed to try to give them the leeway. It doesn't work exactly the way they wanted it to. Both sides employing a lockdown will force the defense out of the objective, but the same thing will be said for the attack. Locked in, detained for Wheaties. No one detained on the defensive. Great use to counteract it if you're on the attacking side to keep them back and at bay. Nano Swarm is just a nanometer off, and Shortify, they'll stick it. They thought they died. They thought the death that Playman just moments prior was the end of the planter, sorry, the diffuser. And Oklahoma scrape in in fact do go 8-4 at halftime, double the stat line of OC Esports, which is, I mean, kind of to be expected when they start off 5-0.
You love to see that info denial just working beautifully for Oklahoma. Oklahoma also just lined up there. They were body blocking. At least that's what it looked like to me. And then you hate it for Wheaties as well, though. Just barely missed, just a little opening for that Nano Swarm not to be effective. And it gives an 8th round to Oklahoma. Now on the attack side, seemingly very comfy no matter where.
You can push any site. Sometimes it turns into this unknown factor. It's kind of guessing game, Vincent, where it's like, I can play anywhere, but where is the best choice? And you're kind of blinded by the idea that you can do anything and somehow, some way, come out with nothing. The pistol round holds no saving graces for Oklahoma. 4 kills in quick succession in the B site, and Shortify, they just want to get the spike down. They're hoping they can get over to a site, maybe scrape a kill or 2 their way to get an ult pip going their way. But I just don't think that's going to happen for OC Esports. They want to punish Shortify quickly, and Shadowcore, watching from root, make sure that they only get a 1-for-1.
Well played. I mean, OC, they were ready for the potential B hit pretty quickly, but Oklahoma fully committed to it. There was no poking, no prodding necessary. They were fully in there, and unfortunately, the utility from OC just kind of hit them every which way. Trailblazer followed by the Guiding Light and the double swing from Booga alongside Dev, all working brilliantly. Oklahoma probably just on the full eco this time out. Benji's a little bit committed there. Has a Sheriff in his hands. Everybody else, though, it will be the eco. the norm after a loss such as that.
You have ego buys and ego buys. I think Benji's gone for the ego buy with the sheriff, but you can go for it.
He's been playing, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
Kinda deserves
we've
it.
seen him shut down with a Tasmanian Tiger and the stun that lasts way too long, it feels like, but I mean, you know you have the better weapons. You know, Benji can cook up something, let him in the kitchen, let him eat. It's Thanksgiving. I know it's after Thanksgiving, but leftovers are still aplenty. Doesn't mean you can't keep cooking something up in the kitchen. Either way, Oklahoma, they know they have to piece together something, and unfortunately this puzzle is starting to lose a couple pieces. Benji, who we've been talking about for so long, goes down, drops the weapon, and Nathan, who collected it, will drop it immediately afterwards. This is looking dire for Oklahoma, as it is continuously being the Shadow Core show.
Hey, Winder's doing some good work. Got some Bulldog activated. Spike should be able to go down as well. All of those things, a big positive. Might have wanted Winder's to be able to get into a post plant, but they're both going to hang out in tree, just chilling. 9 bullets only. And ooh, that's not ideal. Swinging wide, Civ. Nice trade, but refrag as well. Don't exactly love to see the swing whilst reloading, though.
Yeah.
It's ambitious. I'll give him that.
Give him something. Typically a bullet back to their head, but you give them something at the
All
very
right.
least. If you can't fire back, what's the point of the swing in afterwards? I know a lot of games. I don't know how. I know you do a lot of esports fans, so I guess I can't say I don't know how much you know about other games. A lot of games allow you to fire in the middle of a reload. That was a problem that plagued Rainbow Six Siege for a very long time. You could cancel a reload and fire the other 13 bullets you had in your mag when you wanted to reload. Now you can only fire 1. So I like that when you have to reload, there's nothing left you can do. You should not peek it.
I want to know what the real world argument, like if you were to make something up of like why that would be the case. I want to know like what was the combo in the room.
They did.
You know what I mean?
R6, that's such a realistic game, right? They
Yeah,
have, like,
yeah,
destruction
exactly.
and things like that. Why allow them to keep firing? Thankfully, it's more realistic. You have a bullet in the chamber, right? It'll fire the bullet in the chamber.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but it's been out for 9 years since they did that. It's like 67 years, but
Sheesh.
very long time before they made that change. So who knew where the line was drawn? I know where Reedy's line is drawn. It's drawn on the sand with a frenzy in their hand, and now their body's the line itself as it goes down.
Interesting. We just only had a frenzy. Is this? I didn't even pay attention. I assumed OC were buying, but are they on an eco? Maybe, maybe not. Regardless, keeping the investments limited, the retake required. Booga hoping to lead the charge. Nobody close range. Plenty of players over towards elbow, though. In fact, it's the majority of the defense. Shadow Core to dispatch the first. A little bit of a weird situation as they come through the smoke. It's all done and dusted. Everybody getting a handle on that one. Assists to go around. And Oklahoma find their first of the half.
I'm very impressed with Benji. I know I called out Civ earlier. Civ has kind of been fulfilling their role on the attack so far. They haven't had a standout round that I think has given them graces. They kind of fell off a little bit slower. They fell more to utility by the end of that first half. But Benji, keeping even with Winders, who I felt like we've said Winders' name about 1 million times so far with what they've been doing. It's crazy to see a KJ with a stat line like that and also being so darn good with their utility, because we've highlighted the nano swarms being so dangerous. We've seen that lockdown be used in counter. We've seen it be something that is so difficult to get around in that first half. We've seen the turrets be that early information in this half already as well. Benji is someone you're going to have to shut down if you're OC Esports, and you've got to find the way to do that, and you may have to talk about it in between game 1 and 2.
Oh, Winders, that's a phenomenal trade. OC took a gamble, right? Info towards B, info towards C early is what they wanted. Instead, Oklahoma's attack towards the A site, and Winders, another kill, this time solely with the paint shells. More players coming in, all 3 heading the same direction. Showstoppers out both ways, but Shadow Core shutting it down. Booga getting one more, and this is now Shortify working from the site. Turns on a dime to get that frag, and Civ shuts him down. Oklahoma saving the day right there. And talk about impact for Civ, that frag one of them.
You get your 10. We call it the checkpointer chokehold between me and Dallas, and it's because so many teams bottle it right when they reach that double-digit margin. But Oklahoma look hard-pressed to do so. At the very least, they seem hard-pressed to do it at 11. Because look what we're seeing on the board. We commented, why was there a frenzy out earlier? Well, we could know why there's a frenzy out here for Wheaties again. It's another eco buy for OC Esports. They've got armor. I guess they're hoping that they can get that one kill up close and personal as they rush out of C main and out of B as well. They want to get a rifle to give them a better chance later, but Oklahoma, they want A, and they do not look like they'll be stopped on their pursuit to it.
Again, just a little bit of a gamble here, and this one super understandable for OC. You're on pistols, as we just mentioned. Last time it was a bonus. This time it is nothing more. Should be getting the info sooner rather than later that the spike is down. That'll give them the go-ahead. But it's not free.
Anything can happen in a round like this, in a playoff stage like this. And OC Esports are not out. They may be down, but they're not out of it just yet. Oklahoma, 4 versus 4. Not where you want to be if you got proper weapons, but where you do want to be is defending that site now with Spike atop of it. Headhunt over Shadow Core, Vandal in hand for your Sky. You'll need to play smart for this retake. You'll switch door, but Dev, the only rifle holder in that side, goes down, and Shadow Core only gets a 1-for-1 before falling. You know they're inside the smoke. You can't get the kill though, and it's just Booga playing for an exit frag, and that will be denied by the toxic screen as you'll die to the detonation, same as Booga, but nonetheless, Oklahoma 11, testing the crouch key to 6.
You know, OC, to be fair, getting quite a bit out of that one. The issue is that, I mean, 11 rounds, that's a lot to work against. And Oklahoma have so many chances to pick up that 12th. See what they have on offer, OC, this round. A lot of presence out towards B, towards C, trying to get mound control in the previous rounds, and Oklahoma have just taken advantage, walked up A. This is different. Look how many players are here for OC. They are ready to roll as soon as Oklahoma come around this corner.
It was OC's strategy to stack up on the A site with Shadow Core so heavily in the first half on their attack. They're essentially doing the same thing here with a heavy stack trying to take down Shadow Core.
Oh!
They failed on the initial, but the rendezvous was too deep, too far back. It wasn't enough in the open space. They get down immediately. And Oklahoma get the 2-player advantage. This is unbelievable for this push.
Notice that pathing. Very aware, Oklahoma, of that possibility being on top of those boxes. It's a dangerous position because it can go over the toxic screen. They path correctly and Shortify ain't done yet. 3 kills for them. Nathan picks up the 1, and the Seeker gives away the final member. Wow. Intelligent movement there from Oklahoma.
Match point.
Anticipating the aggressive approach from OC towards A.
You try to play so heavily, so heavy-handed, and you maybe think the round will be flawless because they went the other way. It's the total opposite. It's Oklahoma through all obstacles, dominating, denying, and overcoming. And now they're at the match point precipice. They want to go above and beyond. 13-6 would be a very heavy stat line for them to punch that ticket into the grand finals. And I think they could very well do it here. They're going to move over a default switch. 1 player over towards defender spawn, or sorry, attacker spawn. Now rotating over to mound with your KJ. The rest heavy-handed towards roots. And it's just that prowl game for a first blood before using that spike onto the C site where it seemingly is heading towards.
Easy enough. Little 1-for-1 trade there. Booga. Long range that Guardian does feel fantastic. Shadow Core hoping to push the issue, and the rendezvous can do so and get away with his life. Spike down temporarily has been recollected all the same, and Civ now the win con for Oklahoma.
Shadow Core.
1 enemy remaining.
Down goes Civ. It's their 3rd, and Oklahoma look to be denied of that 13-6 they were hoping for. Flank from attacker spawn, and then it took Dev a moment to collect themselves for it. They'll get it nonetheless. And it's just now 5 rounds, disparaging between these two sides. And OC Esports, like I mentioned before, down but not out against the big brother Oklahoma here. They want to try to make sure they're the older sibling. They're the better sibling at the very least. And they have to do really well for the next 5 rounds to guarantee OT, because that is required of them on this first map.
Yeah, no mistakes. That is the toughest part of this comeback trail that is being ablazed by OC at the moment. Remember, OC, they picked up Lotus. They elected to bring us here.
There.
We'll see if Booga ready to go. There's that pathing I was talking about. Shortify ready to roll, but the pre-aim from Booga a little too quick. Nathan will get the trade. Shadowcore up on top. He too goes down, and unfortunately, Dev can do no more.
Winders will have to go for the ult orb. They just want to make sure they have a little bit of extra things in the pocket should this round go awry. But with Nathan having the Viper's Pits, you gotta assume it's gonna be popped here with that man advantage. Spike goes down, and there it is. Boom goes the dynamite. Nathan will stack up on sights. And the 2 players for OC Esports of Wheaties and Vo will have to step in. Deer in the headlights, the most dangerous game you can imagine. And Wheaties goes down first, just Vo. They have a tiny pocket, Vincent, they can hide within. But the same thing was there for Nathan on the opposing end, and Nathan strikes for the final frag.
Benji has to be dealt with, but Winders must also be stopped. Cannot allow for him to continue to have the impact that we saw in that first map. With that said, hey, this is not OC's map pick. Oklahoma electing to bring us there, and so I think that does give me some confidence that Oklahoma may have the run of things here in this semifinal.
Calling a 2-0, we're out here for Oklahoma. You think they were going to take this and
I think it's a significant possibility because of the way that we saw them play. I mean, again, fair enough. All things not ever equal when it comes to map 1 versus map number 2. But if they play like they did on map 1, I don't see a world in which Oklahoma are going to lose this.
Yeah, it's hard to envision a loss after everything that Oklahoma have shown us so far. They were very successful, wildly successful on our first map, whether it came to either half. They got such a lead in the beginning, like I mentioned. It was really too difficult for OC to really get that comeback. If Oklahoma gets slowed down in the first half, whether that means they go 7-5 or OC go 7-5 or even just a split 6-6, I think OC can engage that second half. I think they have a better chance in the latter halves of these halves, you know, the final 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rounds of each half. Then they can climb back up and meet and match Oklahoma, if not do better. But they have to survive the first few, and that's something they need to start here in the pistol round, which they've already lost, quotations, because they've taken a big lick of damage for their Silva.
I mean, remember, OC lost both pistols in the last map, so keeping that in mind, Oklahoma moving their way forward. That Sova not able to get any healing. There's no Sky on the other side. So it's going to be a tough post plant with the toxic screen into position and plenty to work with. It's 3 committed to the site.
You know you have a player in heaven. You just need to deny lines of sight. Shadowcore, though, who was good with a Headhunter, can do so the same with a Ghost. Down goes the only death of Oklahoma to this point. In a 4v2 split, very difficult to come back from. One will move in from back halls. That is your go-to jet of Shadowcore. Wheaties with a quick flick to 2. Down goes Benji. You highlighted how important it is, and it's still continuing to be so. Wheaties in a 2v1 can't get enough. And where Benji can't, Winders can. A 4K in the first round, and Oklahoma start off on the strong foot, and OC just couldn't deny it.
Just an incredible post plant from Winders, right? Like,
yes.
Winders doesn't even need to get a kill getting into the entry towards that site, but is denying the re-entry opportunities that OC were trying to put together. 2 players up in heaven, and both just get domered over there and unable to make their way out or forward one by one, and Winders taking them down. Oklahoma making it 3 for 3 when it comes to pistol rounds this series. That is a one-stop shop of victory over there.
Civil plays slow. The prowl that's needed for Oklahoma to clear out that A-long position. This is the easiest site in all of VALORANT to retake. I don't know if the statistic is still true, but it has been for a really long time. 2+ years statistically dominated for the defensive retake, so you vacate the premises when a strong-armed push on an attack comes forward. But if you've only got pistols, you're in a go round because you lost the first. You might as well just set on start and hope that these corners play for you, because the pistols won't at this range. And the sheriff that you thought would do something cooked up nothing, and you're down 2. And Oklahoma are holding strong to the objective, and they're making sure that there is no chance you can step out of home.
Yeah, maybe the easiest on paper, but that stat certainly falls with the pistols in hand. Wheaties, ooh, great find. That's a little unfortunate for Benji. Not gonna feel great. Wheaties just the reload button consistently. Any other takers, Winders will take and take some more. OC fall, but an expected outcome with Winders on a 7-0 run in the first 2 rounds. That is gotta feel good. It's also gotta feel a little bit bad if you're OC. Just one win con, though, right out in the open. Take Winders out, and then things get easier.
The win condition is clear. But unfortunately, the moment Winders typically steps down from their throne, that's where we've seen Benji step up. But Benji's been noticeably silent. Maybe there's a new secondary, a prince, a follow-up, a successor to the Benji throne in the previous game.
I don't know if it's been noticeable. I'll just take Winders. Thank you very much.
I hope there's someone there, though. Because Winders is dead. You gotta have a follow-up.
That's bad news. The B site not available. C site was the plan. The spike is down. Dodged as Benji, but he too falls. Nathan can't do anything, and Booga is literally unkillable and finds the ace.
Wow. Booga showing they're more than just a Fortnite player. I don't know how many times I can make a Booga name reference for it. But I will, as many times as necessary. Booga steps up to the plate. Winders going down. That alone would have given you MVP for a round, but following up with 4 more kills after the fact just makes matters worse. And that was not a round where Oklahoma had nothing. They still had the weapons for round 2, and even past the fact, Winders had even bought up a rifle. They had a Vandal. They had a proper weapon going into that round, and yet they still couldn't find any success past it. And OC Esports need to do the same thing here, where Winders can save a lot of credits by using the Blade Storm as the go-to weapon for this round as they start to prowl over towards the A site, which has been successful for Oklahoma so far, unlike B, which was a distraught position for them.
Saving money is making money, and that is indeed the case here. Benji, this is a nice lurk timing. Unfortunately, not at all going to be open, but we shall see. Presence and pressure applied over at the A site for Oklahoma. This Blade Storm almost certainly going to be trying to make the contact. The question now becomes, will OC give it over? Ooh, that's fantastic! It's a timing that was caught, but not found out. Sure to find Nathan will each get a kill, but there's still a Booga here ready to roll.
One enemy remaining.
Husky getting lighted, but the flick away keeps them back and alive. Second flash for Booga around the corner, and it's good for another kill. 7-2-1. Matching and going above if you count the assist against Winders, who has since then been silenced. Booga had to be there. You have to be alive. And you mentioned it. There was a big lack of a secondary top frag for the side of OC Esports. Oklahoma had Winders, they had Benji top dogging the whole dang time on the first map, and now OC Esports have 2 of their own. Wheaties, who has been a consistent player, which is one thing we highlighted needed to be there for Oklahoma under Benji and was, and now we've got an even bigger one of Booga, who has stepped away from building in circles and no build to now stepping up into Valorant here in Haven.
Hero rifle available for Winders in this round. And by the way, just to take a moment, that timing, that Blade Storm, it kind of looks a little silly in retrospect, you know, you're just dashing forward. But a lot of times you're just going to have your Sova there solo early, and that timing could have been fantastic. Love to see Winders taking that space, even if it didn't work out this time around.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda. You always think, but you never know. And that's the beauty of esports, changing up the variables of success and strategy on either side of the playing field. Defensively, OC Esports not playing static, not the same defensive position every single time, and it's done good work against Oklahoma. This lockdown with 45 seconds left. Why would Oklahoma still stick this plant instead of transitioning off with 45 seconds left to an opposing side? I'm not too sure. But they went for the destruction for the lockdown, and now every player that is left is detained. And OC Esports will make quick work of this round as
One
Booga
enemy remaining.
just made the most
okay.
embarrassing play we've seen so far today. That's fine. Wheaties is there for the cleanup for the 4K. My goodness, is OC Esports in it to win it now, 3-2.
I'll hazard an answer to your rhetorical question. Why commit? Oh, you know, listen. It was just a hero rifle. Spike down, a little extra cash injection. They weren't winning that round anyway. Take the aggressive fight, see if that Vandal can make some work happen. It doesn't. And so here we are. Quick and simple. Right into the next round. OC in the lead. Is that their first? I think so.
I think so. They definitely struggled if they ever got it in the first. I'm trying to look, but I do not think they ever at any point maintained a lead against Oklahoma. So getting it here on our second map is a big thing. And again, they've got their 2 players to do so. Wheaties. Honestly, there's a lot of things you can do if you're Oklahoma in that round once the lockdown goes down. I mentioned you rotate away. The spike had not gone down yet. I get it's a pistol round. It seems dire anyways, but you could have played for another. But I think they were more so focused on the possibility of the credits for that plant, which they may have been denied if they rotated over to an opposing site.
Precisely. Sometimes you gotta just take a look at
Short-term
what
success.
what the goals are, what your hopes and dreams are for the round. A little aggression here down mid, and there's a lot of backup available for OC.
Guiding light makes things difficult if you try to push in through courtyard to make matters worse. Nathan spraying down 2 of your own could start to put you in a bit of a dire position. You got to think twice now about where you engage. Because while they do have C, Spike was nowhere near. Spike is the slowest person to that site. Safest person to the site as well, I'll add, but slowest one there. And that will give time for OC Esports to restabilize and now retake the full plant under the books. To make matters worse, this is a Viper's Pit in this round. This is rough to get through.
OC gambled towards A. As soon as they lost contact in mid there, they gambled A instead of C, and that was the wrong call. This Viper's Pit, as you mentioned, making life tough. And this is a phenomenal crossfire. Don't even need it. Who needs the crossfire? Winders has them all. He's collected. Might have lost out after getting the 7th, but a 10th on the board now, equaling Wheaties on the other side of it. OC doing a great job picking up 3, but now they've been found out, at least that first round.
I'll point out, every time I hear Winders, I immediately think of Elder Scrolls Must Have Been the Wind. And that's gotta be what the reaction is from OC Esports. 3 players dying instantaneously must have been the wind after the fact. You know Oklahoma's got the top dog on the board. You know they can step up. You just got to slow it down, and that's what I think is the more important factor, even if there's a loss at the end.
Oklahoma has the only dog on the board.
All right, that is true. All right.
Oh, I love this angle from Shadowcore. And right after the Trailblazer, really making it tough for Winders to anticipate this, but Shadowcore gets a little too far forward. This could be problematic. Meanwhile, the A push denied.
Wheaties back around the corner, forced to fall back. Can't do so successfully. It's short of fire with the frag. Rolling Thunder from back here is wild from Booga.
Oh my.
And it looks like almost everybody will be capable of getting away safely. That comes out to a null and moot point for the side of OC Esports. You got window control in mid. You lost C, you lost B, you lost A. And you've sacrificed so much that is so difficult to charge with the recent updates and the changes to it. That's just, it's not a good ultimate choice there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I do like the ambition. I think that you got to make that decision quicker, though. You saw Booga just a little bit unsure, and it took just a moment. It only takes a moment of hesitation, and that's what allowed everybody to get out of there, to disengage as quickly as they did. And I'm not even saying it would have been the right play, but if you do it immediately, Infernosis, then I think it's a little bit better. Unfortunately, here we are, a round lost and a lead regained for Oklahoma off the back of some really well-defended aggression.
There's a time and a place. Unfortunately, the time eluded it, but the place wasn't necessarily incorrect. We saw a very questionable Rolling Thunder at the end of our last map of the first series of the day. It was a little bit quicker, or not at all. I think the factor for that one was not at all. It could have been a different story. They needed it for another round. Thankfully, it's early. you can charge up another one. They're good enough to do so. Bugha has been on top of the ball. I was hoping to find a little bit more of that a little later. VAL, though, headshots to Benji and Oklahoma. Well, they tested it in towards Garage, and they'll not like what they see, which is no more because the player is dead. They'll rotate in for a push onto A.
Highly important here, Wheaties. That's a phenomenal little stun coming through. Winders with a refrag and getting the forward position has cleared things out on the side. Bugha trying to take a bit of a timing and oh no! Tries to get the planter, instead catches a bullet to the side of the skull. It's 2 remaining and 1 with an op. It's just not the gun for the retake.
This has got to be one of the more important rounds for OC Esports to set a tone, and unfortunately, they just couldn't do it. And they want to keep the operator. When they try to buy up for it and they want to have it, which is such a dangerous choice on a map like Haven, one of the only maps where the operator is ridiculously good on the defense, but is this double-edged thorn of being either the best choice you can make or the last choice you can make. Hopefully it won't be their last. They'll save it in for the next round. Winders, they want to go in. They want to go for it. Will the weapon be ready around the corner? It won't. And their doppelganger of Shadowcore will deny. A second one for Shortify. They're just sending everybody at him. And Sim wants even more. Will they get it? Yes! The operator is gone. Did they collect it in time? No!
Oh no. They did not.
What an unbelievable final kill for Oklahoma with 1 second left. OC Esports just dropped the biggest ball they could have asked for.
And look at the money Infernosis. They got cash for days. It's no problem. Throw away 2, 3 guns. It don't matter. Without that operator, suddenly this goes from being a really deadly round, could still be that, but a lot less to the table. Shadowcore will have to use the Blade Storm instead to get that deadly efficacy that they were looking for on the op. And early information. Look how much this Trailblazer's gathering. All the way up long, all the way up short. It's the site already gained, but Wheaties has a frag and gets away.
Oh, Wheaties, you need to be there, and they have been. The team needs to be around them. Locked down, very reminiscent. And Oklahoma will not step up too quickly this time around. They know they have the luxury to hide back. They may be at a man disadvantage, but they've got weapons. Something they were lacking the last time this had occurred. And they will use that to their strong suit. Peek in towards mid. Yes, it's been held already, but Benji's too good for it. Down goes Wheaties. And Shadowcore has to make up space. 2 for 1 special. Can they get a third? Almost. But Benji gets that frag and will save Oklahoma from a really rough flank that could have cost them everything in this round.
OC's doing the gamble. Same situation here. This time they head towards B, stack more towards the C site where Winders is just walking right back through. Vo's on the lookout, but Vo goes down. Winders has so much space, an incredible shot from the jet, delivering whenever it matters most. And Benji and Winders in the 2-on-3, now cut to 2-on-2.
You should run.
OC in trouble with the lockdown in play. Now they have to pick up the pace.
This is huge for Oklahoma. Getting an even halftime guaranteed this early would be a major point of contention, but you can't cover it. Benji couldn't cover it. Winder, so thankfully, makes up for it. But it was about to be a really rough spot to be in. Letting a 1v1 go against you and letting it get to that point in the first place when it seemed like you had made a huge recovery. That was close, too close for comfort, but OC Esports will give up yet another round. They're half the stat line of Oklahoma.
He was where you buy guns!
Yes!
Infernosis. Shadowcore was in their spawn! And he gets 2 kills with that Blade Storm, and it's just not enough! How has this happened? The opening pick, the double kill on the Blades, the flank, it all goes right for OC. And they still lose out. Shadowcore back on the op this time. Has to deal with 2. Great work. Little shoulder peek on both sides to get the confirmation. And Vo's under pressure, but works best in that position. Phenomenal shot, now denied.
The operator, the biggest threat here, and Shadowcore can't scope in time, has to flick the other way. Down goes Shortify, back around the bend, and Nathan shuts down the beast on sight. And Wheaties, who's second to the best, can't step up either. The Hunter's Fury can just buy time, but there's nothing behind it. There's no intel. It's a collegiate Hunter's Fury.
From the shadows, got pulled out there. Oklahoma just faking him out a little bit. the question of whether that Hunter's Fury would be pressured by from the shadows or maybe the spike over to the A side. All of those questions kind of running through the heads of OC. And they will have to wait for that dark cover to expire as it does. 2-on-3, here we go. Retake already started, but Nanoswarm into position.
Dev
Last player
walking
standing.
down. They need to make space. Booga does it somehow. But they can't have enough. Just dumping the kitchen sink at him. Nathan, 22 HP. Booga, what a shot to Benji. But it will not matter. The 22 HP you have left is 0 when Nathan wall bangs you round that lip. And it's 7-3. And looking a lot like a World Cup show match instead, scoreline-wise. And it's not over. This could get even worse for OC Esports if they can't kick it into high gear. And this round looks rough. Because if they lose this again, they will not be able to buy again for the next round.
It's so hilarious to me, by the way, that Nathan, like, crouch swings that angle in that 1v1. Like, when do you ever see a crouch swing come through? I mean, that's why it worked, is because it was so unexpected, but hilarious nonetheless. Oh, man. Oklahoma about to get to that 8 if they can pull this off. Great fault line. It's going to give Dev the support that he requires. The aftershock comes through, but no escape for Wheaties.
Try to take a couple shots. Gonna meander your way in towards site quickly, though. Oklahoma don't know if they have the safe space to do so. Is there another one back behind? You can't tell. Did Benji see Shadow? I think they did. No, maybe they didn't. They're turning. What is going on? Benji mirrored, and it's down they go. Shadow Core on that flank, the prowl, hunting for even more. This has been a huge factor for success for OC Esports, and one of the only factors of success they've had, and it's still not been enough to gain them an advantage in a lot of these rounds. And the recovery has still been there for Oklahoma because the top dogs still are hounding and barking down on OC Esports, and down goes Shadow Core, just evening things to a 3-on-3.
Shadowcore had to stay alive there. Good not to take the fight early, but fall back and try and take another fight. It's going to be the Blaze. Oh my goodness! 2 with 1 blade is what it looked like from that perspective. OC is cut to ribbons. No longer in the round, no longer alive to fight. It's Oklahoma. 8 a guarantee as Dev works to save this one rifle left in their hands. How do you stop him? The answer is you do not.
This is just... It's impossible to put true words to it, but it is perfection incarnate. Oklahoma, when the going gets tough, they rise to the occasion and they get much, much tougher. Winders, what a show match they have put on. Everyone in this division is quaking in their boots at the performance that he is bringing to the table. And if you know Benji can show up in matches, if you know Shortify can clutch up in scenarios, if you know you got the players behind that top dog, and it's again, you have a team to fear.
I'm quaking and I'm not even in the division. I'm in the booth.
What a game for Oklahoma, as they very well could go 9-3 at halftime.
Looking like it's possible. It's a Guardian type of round because, well, that is the mood, right? It's like, I can't get anything I really want, so I'll have a Guardian, which, hey, it can do you well in a pinch. Will it be enough? Shadow Core, Vandal in hand, no shielding, though.
The utility is at the ready. The defense has to be at the ready. If OC Esports want any chance to hold on, they start off on the right foot. Kill onto Benji. Down goes the other way. Can they get a second back? They can't. It's a twofer for Oklahoma, Vincent. OC Esports, they start off strong, but it just falls apart. Rolling Thunder for Booga. Blinding light, and they walk into Nathan. It's a bloodbath on sight as the Viper's Pit makes matters even worse for Ware.
Hashtag winnable, though. Both players coming from the flank. One from short, one from long. It's the plan. The Viper Spit, though, the biggest issue. No remaining Sova to recon bolt into there, and oh my goodness, Shortifies in heaven. Bad news as they walk up. There's the fight, though. Vo takes it and wins it out. A lot
Last
of
player
corners
standing.
to consider, and Nathan's here to stop it. Though, Solo, a last gasp and a hope and a prayer. There's utility to deny. Zo's gonna swap out the Viper Spit falls, but that's not going to help him. 9-3 is indeed the score we head to half with.
Switching sides.
Oklahoma doing even better than we saw in the last map, despite OC taking their first lead of this series.
Oklahoma look indomitable. When you go into a half and you start off worse for wear, you give your first ever glimpse of success to OC Esports. This was a 3-2 game at one point. 3-2.
It was.
And it's now blown in for 7 rounds in a row, and it can only get worse, or could get worse, I should say, if they continuously take in these pistol rounds as well, because that puts them to 11 if they do.
You remember how I was waffling about like the second half, and it's not really that bad. It wasn't that big a deal. Like, it's easy. Yeah. Anyway,
You got to get to the second half. That's you got to get the second half unscathed, which is kind of the issue.
Luka making that possible. Shadow Core doing the same. It's a 3-on-4 at the very least. One Civ just barely swatted that recon bolt, saving the lives of many. Nathan down low, and just one man on the other side. A flank incoming. Pressure applied, but nobody even worried about it. Is now NG's position given away. This is OC almost certainly their first pistol of the series.
And hopefully a sign of better things to come, Vincent. They have a huge stat back to come back from, right? There was an 8-round difference at one point or another. You question what you can do about it. Sorry, 6-round difference at one point or another. You question about what you can do about it. Well, it all starts in the pistol round.
Yeah.
You get that ticket. You mentioned it. When you already go in for the first game, for the first map, the 8-4, they take the pistols. You struggle. You can't lock in. You have to get on a different foot. You have to step forward, your best foot forward. Now, OC Esports have done so, and they are going for a huge commit, as you would expect in the second round, to get that C-long position, where the same thing will be said for Oklahoma, who scrape 1 kill right off the rip.
Oh, this is massive as well. They're not going to overcommit to this. Well, just one man seen, one man swatted, the right click. It's multiple ones. No way, not like this. You can't lose like this, OC. Oklahoma, they've done it with just Ghosts and Classics. It's a free gun, by the way.
Oklahoma, what the heck from Dev?
What?
The double lineup into the cast crouch key button. The double lineup to get 2 from Dev there. Very, very
What in
low
the world
chance.
is this video game? What?
I'm not sure, but it has turned into a great show match nonetheless. And the best foot forward for OC Esports. They trip and fall right at the gate into C. Once you see one player pushing through, that's typically your sign to rotate to another side, because you know they're not just a lone individual. There is more back behind the scenes, back behind the smokes here. You just needed to play a little bit smarter.
Maybe, just maybe, OC can bring this back. Hey, they did it with Ghosts and Classics, and Sheriff's certainly going to be viable. Sure to find on the other side of the dark cover, presence and pressure applied over in mid. Nobody heading forward just yet. No way, Winders has an op in round 2. Round 3, excuse me, Dev. We'll take one man back. At least Shortify is down, and space gained over at B.
Slow play.
Spike down.
You know you have to go smart. You can hold back, but unfortunately, you still got to be able to hold up, and that's just not happening here. Yowjoan couldn't even tag an individual. Now Dev is being forced to hit shots here straight up. Can't do so, and Benji gets the final kill, 11-4, possibly going above and beyond. This could end 13-4 at this rate, because look at OC Esports. They can't even full buy this round either.
I mean, yeah, they forced into the last, thought they could do it with the Sheriffs, and hey, listen, it's a scoreline of 10-4 at the time. You can understand the mindset, but at the same time, you don't get a gun round if you lose this. If you lose this round, no gun rounds available. OC just gonna have to buy what they can, but hey, what matters, Shadowcore does have a rifle. It's working incredibly well. Needs some of that fantastic work that we've been seeing throughout this series right this moment.
If you can pull off the impossible, why not do it here? Use your miracle now. Punch your tickets. And they start off on the right foot. Force now Oklahoma in for a retake on that B side, but unfortunately the utility barring your point of re-entry to deny a defuse. It's red in the feed. OC Esports getting 2 back in return. Civ not out of it yet until Booga can close. It's Winders. A 1v4. Sees the second. Has to go back again and can't hit the shots. OC Esports with a quick sprint to B to get that plant for free. May have just given the only chance they could have on a somewhat disjointed buy to now do a somewhat disjointed buy again for this one.
I got enough time
You know,
to go
credit
to the
where
Astro
it's
Fall.
due there as well for OC. Some really, I'll call them non-traditional positions to take some fights, and it worked brilliantly. Absolutely brilliant. Wheaties in particular, that was surprising to Benji, I would say. Unaware of that possibility. And here we are, maybe the comeback trail. Ooh. Winders getting tagged, though, on the opening engagement. Isn't going to be ideal.
Aldrone up in through short. Dev, it's a hit, something that they failed to do previously, but it will have to be Shadow Core to get first blood. Try to use the Cloudburst to close in sightline. Sim's been left unknown, gets 2! And though Booga refrags back, the damage has been done, and Winders will just point blank fire into the hips of Dev to make this a 3v2 engagement. Yes, both players are near or on site, but that's not enough to win you games, especially if Nathan strikes when you're the most vulnerable. Util out, Wheaties! Almost does a repeat of Winders there with just the hip fire shot with the operator, but it won't matter. Oklahoma get their 12th. 1 point away, match point, series point. And this is just Oklahoma's game, dude. It's hard to say anything else. They are looking amazing.
Yeah, I think that this is one of those games where Oklahoma could do whatever they wanted. They could play however they play, as aggressive, as stupid as they want, and it just feels like they are the team right this moment. OC gonna give it their best shot. It'll be tough though. Here we go.
Winders, they go for the cheeky blade storm. They've got rounds to spare. Why not do something on top? Do a little something overboard.
You should run.
But OC Esports fall back to their most dangerous game, the B site push. And the take of this objective now being impossible to recover from. With that lockdown, there is no denying this plant unless you work from the flank, and that's being denied by Wheaties. Shortify thought there was a chance. They wanted window. They're like, then maybe not the best play to go about it. Let's rotate back the other way and think twice about this. It's a 2v4, but it's a 2v4 with Oklahoma, and they've already put another one in the grave. And a second from Benji, my God.
Now they're isolated to a certain extent. Shortify knows, based on the guiding light, that there's at least one player there. Swap over to the rifle. Vandal in hand. They'll swing, and Wheaties gets that frag. First fight is won. Benji, some missed shots from Bo. This isn't where you need to make those. As Benji goes jumping on the shots. Doesn't make the connection. OC stay alive for one more round. A bit absurd, but a victory nonetheless. You'll take those.
1 second.
Think about how close Shortify was from just crouching under mid window and seeing the player in Rabbit, just seeing Vo hiding away tucked in that cubby a little bit further into the courtyard, and could have gotten that one instead and left the long fire up for Wheaties, who was good for Winders, who's good for it. Sorry, it was Benji. I'm losing my mind here. It's been a long day for me. Either way, defensively, Oklahoma are showing some weaknesses, and it's the right idea for OC Esports. They'll get first blood here again. And that's Benji, who was so good the last round, and now being relegated to just talking in their teammates' ear to distract.
Yeah, Oklahoma not working with a real large array of weaponry, sure, but Wheaties nearly got timing. Winders will get the refrag. Work still to be done as Shadow Court to shut things down. The operator being tossed back and forth between these players as rounds are traded.
One enemy remaining.
That's not ready.
At least Shadowcore getting a couple there at the end of this one. It'll be VO to shut it out as, hey, one by one, OC are making a dent in this lead, but how many more of these rounds will go by before Oklahoma gets the response? Maybe it's this one. Off back in Winder's hands and rifles across the board.
Good news for Oklahoma. Besides the fact you're still 5 rounds ahead here, Vincent, you have 5 ultimates.
Ready.
Winders is an ultimate in general. They may not have it actually in the books, but anything Winders wields is about as good as pressing the X button. The rest, though, actually do have the X button lit up and ready to go. There's the operator. What's more effective than an ult? There's it is. Apparently, they bound their X button to left click. They're able to get up the first blood, take down the oh-so-dominant pressure that is the Jet for the side of OC Esports, who was really good at map 1 and has been keeping them alive so far in map 2. But with them dead, how much more do you have in the back pocket, Vincent?
That is a good question. We will find out shortly.
You are divided.
Still currently over towards B. It's going to be the Cosmic Divide. That Trailblazer, a lot of info just gathered in the lockdown, says no to the B site. Not available. Sorry, come again.
Lockdown makes it so much easier. You just force them away. For the time being. Also have the Astra to hide. Vincent, do they know? They don't. Civ! This is the second time Civ has gone unnoticed in a corner! And much like Scotty on Ascent earlier today that gave UCF the win, the recovery on Ascent, they have their own lap of luxury here. Flawless factor for the final round on top of it, Vincent. 13-7 and a very, very good game to end things off for our final series of the day.
Yeah, and listen, there's a lot to talk about here, but I think you have to take just one thing at a time, and the one thing I want to pull out is